Now that I got the board all done here, we're going to check it out. And let me see what I got here. Somehow this thing got pushed in telephoto. Okay, that should be clear. I got the board all soldered up. Checked all the solder joints. And you can see the resistors are all in, and the lettering's the same way, and the curves are at a 45 here going into the board. What I have to do now is I'm going to put a voltage to the board, and this is what I did in part 2 of the 300 volt supply, but this is going to be 750 volts plus. So we're gonna put the voltage across here and see if everything's working fine. And I also have to put these spacers in through the board here, and they go up against here like this. And then when I put it against the steel, these are a 1/4 inch. The metal part here is 1/4 inch. Now if you don't have that, like I said before, you can put through here, you can put some 440 bolts. Put the head through here, and then put two or three or four nuts on the end. Then it still has to be long enough to come out of the chassis to go through 2 of these plates. And by the way, I did some more checking, and the dimensions I gave you originally of the 5. Let's see, it was 7/8 of an inch. Is correct. When you put this here, and then you measure down for 7/8 of an inch, and drew your line across, that dimension is correct. So forget about when I was talking about up in here. This other, because I laid the other plate up on there, and this already has the plate in it. This plate here is from the other side of the radio, of the transmitter. So 7/8 is the correct dimension to mount these boards for clearance. All right, so we'll have to put this in later before I mount it. But right now I'm going to fire this thing up. Get the right polarity here, the right direction of the board. That's according to the print here. Your high voltage from your solid state rectifiers, and that was explained to you. That's the high voltage rectifiers here, and this is what we're doing here, high voltage rectifiers, with the dropping resistor to be determined after I get it fired up here and get the proper voltage. But the actual what we're building today is this circuit right here. These 4 capacitors and resistors, that's the filter capacitor network for the 750 volts. So that's all we're doing on this printed circuit board, is this circuit right here. But part one was this circuit here. These are plug-in rectifiers. And so I got the resistor and all that stuff exposed on top of the transmitter, so if I have a problem, I can pop them out and I can check them. I don't have to pull this 80-pound transmitter apart. So that's part 1, and part 2 was the 300, and part 3 is the high voltage, and that's where we're at. So we're going to check this this board out right here. And what I have is a power supply. It's a DC supply, and all you need is you need just any old power supply, anything that here's a wall wart here. It's something that puts out 12 volts or more, and you're in fine shape. And those of you, like I said, that saw part 2, you can skip this part. But we're going to bring in we're going to bring in the this one puts out 25 volts, by the way. So we're going to bring in 25 volts. And we're going to put our ground on the ground side here. The negative side of this board is right here. And the positive side is right over here. So we put the 25 volts there. Okay. That's there. Then I got a voltmeter. And we'll turn the power on. And that says 25 volts. Alright. And we can come down and look at here. And let's see, I gotta get my ground on here for the meter. It's on here quick. Should make contact there, I imagine. And that's true. You got 25 volts there. Then we'll go. We come down to a resistor, and the voltage is less, 18. We go over to the next capacitor. That goes around. That goes around here. We got continuity still 18, so that solder joint is good. Everything is good. Go to the other side of that resistor, and we got a little less, 6 volts, some less. That's correct. That comes back up around, goes back down, and then goes across the resistor here. And that's another 6 volts down. And that comes around. 6 volts is still there. That's good. And then we're at 0. So the board, the capacitors are in correctly. All the connections are good. And that'll take care of that. Now, I was doing some recording and I forgot to hit the record button, so I don't exactly where I was for sure. But I was wanting to say that when you put these capacitors in, you want to scrape across the contacts of the capacitors, the pins, and clean them. And then when you get busy, before you put the resistors in, just go up and down with the long nose and scrape them, clean them off, both ends of the pigtails there, the wires, and so that when you put it in the board, it's clean and you'll have a good solder joint. So next thing I do is I'll go ahead and put my standoffs in, and I'll have to come over, and while it's still out of the transmitter yet, grab this is my B+, and this is my ground for the board. Remember the two great big huge capacitors, they were like 600 volts a piece or something like that. They were huge. Well, where am I going to buy those? And if I buy them, they're going to be big bucks. I built this board for approximately $10 a board. So we'll get the thing mounted. We'll get the high voltage and the ground hooked up. I can fire it up and see how she plays. We'll be once we get it fired up here, I'll finish up on this video. So that'll be a little while, but we will be back.